This is an important interview.
Yeah.
I hope you'll get it.
Velkommen til Moovy TV. I denne uge er der biografpremiere på Oliver Stones 20. spillefilm Snowden, som handler om whistlebloweren Edward Snowden, som ofrede sin fremtid og sin frihed for at afsløre et stort globalt overvågningsprojekt. Og vi, som et af de eneste danske medier, har fået lov til at tale med filmens Oscar-belønnede instruktør.
There's something going on inside the government that's really wrong. I have to stop this. And if I don't do it, then I don't know anybody else that can. I'd like to help my country make a difference in the world.
Oliver Stone er en af nyere tids mest kontroversielle og talentfulde instruktører. Hans store gennembrud var krigsfilmen Platoon fra 1986, som var inspireret af Stones egne oplevelser som dekoreret Vietnamsoldat. Filmen blev et kæmpe finansielt hit, og Stone vandt en Oscar for bedste instruktion. Siden da har Stone blandt andet lavet politisk lavet film som børsmarkeddramaet Wall Street, krigsfilmen Født den 4. juli med en Oscar-nomineret Tom Cruise, storfilmen Alexander om den legendariske græske hærfører og ikke mindst JFK, Stones hovedværk. En fuldkommen overrumplende skildring af snigmordet på præsident Kennedy og det efterfølgende efterspil. Og Stones nyeste og 20. spillefilm Snowden falder fint i tråd med JFK. Også her fokuseres der på en idealist, som kæmper en brav kamp i frihedens navn. I was wondering while I was watching the film also, because Snowden himself says it's not my story, it's not about me. He repeats that also in Citizen 4, but it's a movie that has a kind of duality to it, because it's both a story about Edward Snowden, the man, and it's also about what he did and the ramifications of that, and everything that he exposed us to.
Yeah.
So was that a difficult balancing act, both screen-wise and directors-wise, to balance between the man and what he did?
You know, it was a hard movie for me to make because, first of all, the co-writing with Kieran, trying to get the structure that works, and I think it does work for me. It starts with Hong Kong. It's a parallel plot. We go back to Hong Kong 5, 6, 7 times, in which he has to deliver the news, and they have to have it published. He did not know that this thing would be published because it was a huge amount of information. And meanwhile, we go back and forth from those Hong Kong scenes to his backstory, in linear order, to show you how this developed, this whole situation, and how he discovered more and more about what was illegal. The surveillance system was global, not just national. It was a global security system. You know, like when he went to Japan, he says in a line, I love the line, he says, they asked the Japanese to tap all their citizens, but the Japanese didn't want to do it because they have ethics. But we went ahead and did it anyway. And in case Japan would no longer be our ally, we planted malware all over their civilian infrastructure, hospitals, dams, railroad stations. In case they switched alliances, all the lights would go out in Japan, which is true. And he mentions other countries, and I'm sure there are more now. I'm sure all of Europe, to some degree, has malware in it. So the United States is not your ally. It's basically holding you hostage. It's a bully, you know.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad you're with us, but remember, you're working for us.
Yeah.
And if you start fucking with us, we'll blow out your lights, man.
You're with us or against us, like Bush said.
The powers of technology had taken it to levels at which no one's ever known before. And he brought it to public attention, not for profit, but for as a citizen, because he wanted the American people to know about it. And he told the journalists, he says it in the movie quite clearly, I'm not going to give it to them. You give it to them. I'm giving it to you. I trust you. You guys do your work. Check out everything here. It'll take you a long time. And they're still checking because there's a lot of information there.
Yeah.
And you take the responsibility. I don't want anybody to get hurt. And then he deleted the information and he took off. He didn't have an exit plan, but he basically scrambled.
I remember hearing you say before in interviews that he was a bit wary of making the motion picture about him.
Well, that's a different story, yeah.
Yeah, but what convinced him? Because you met him a lot of times, so how did he finally buy into the idea of making a movie about him?
I think he was wary of making it about him. He is very shy and his nature is private. So he wanted the focus to be on the material. But what he didn't count on, I think, I'm making a judgment here, is that the material is very complex and hard to understand. People don't it's hard to them to focus into this abstract concept of something you don't see. We tried to make that clearer to the audience as the film goes along. You understand what these things do. You not only see surveillance, but you see drone warfare, you see cyber warfare, which is a new form of it. So it's pretty, a lot of information, like JFK.
Yeah, indeed.
But I always feel confident that people, if they don't pick it up the first time, can pick it up the second. But if we'd made it as jagged as JFK, I don't think it would have been understood at all. So I think you have to tell a story in a certain way, a style that works for that story. This is all information. This is not theory. This is not theory. There's no ifs. He says this is going on, that's going on, that's going on. So it's pretty serious, and I have a certain responsibility to deliver this information straight up.
So, but did you ever wonder, about constructing it, like you say, in a way like JFK, maybe make it an hour longer and then make it even more sort of
it didn't work at all. JFK was a mystery, you see. It was a parallel situation where you're looking at Dealey Plaza, but you're seeing it different ways. The way Garrison learned the information, first of all, he's the main protagonist. He believed it. You see that whole first section is conventional. It's the way he sees it. And then, of course, 3 years later, he goes back into the case because so many of the characters pass through New Orleans. And as he learns it, we go with him. In other words, we are the innocent audience, and he's our investigator.
You just mentioned Jim Garrison. Of course, he had time to reflect on this case, and you do that in same in your movie. Of course, it's 30 years after the fact. And you've said before that you hate making movies that are contemporary because there are so many factors involved in that. But of course, this is such a recent event. So,
yes.
But you don't feel it's too soon to delve into the story of Edward Snowden. Why is it not too soon?
You're asking a couple of things here, but first of all, no, you don't chase current affairs. A movie takes a year, 2 years. In that time, on a current affair, it changes. There could be somebody comes out of the dark, so he dies or whatever. His information is false. All these hard scenarios could happen. But I met him out of curiosity, and I really believed him. I find him to be what he is, a Boy Scout, kind of a guy who never drinks, never chases women. He has one. He's a guy who's kind of dull in a way, very much a desk clerk type. He is a bit of a drone. So it's not a great main character. He's not Jason Bourne, and he's not Will Smith, an enemy of the state, and there's no violence in the movie. So you're faced with those problems as a director-writer. After 3 visits, I really thought it was so important what he was saying. It's precious. No one ever comes out of the NSA and talks. So it was so important because it's going on now in the United States. It's wrapping up for major ambitions. In cyberspace, which is the next war is going to come from there, I believe. You could ignore this and say, well, wait, but the world may not be here in 3 years. Not that it's going to make a difference, the movie. People won't understand it necessarily right away, but it'll be absorbed into the bloodstream, and we have maybe a few more years to get it into the bloodstream, because it raises a lot of questions, and we can't ignore it. Because our lives, the survival of the planet, I think, is at stake.
And you shot it with Anthony Mantle, who's of course situated here in Copenhagen and has done some Danish movies as well. How was it working with him and the experience of working digital as a film geek?
It was a pleasure. I had wanted to work with him since about 2010. I think I contacted him, but he was never available. And I finally he was available for this, and we had a first-time collaboration. He got me over into the digital camp. And we shot everything, and we shot some of the scenes in 6K, which is sort of the equivalent of 65 millimeter. So I wish you'd see it in a theater because it really...
Oh, I have.
Oh, okay.
And digital. It was...
There's something about seeing it on a box, an electronic device, it doesn't excite me.
No, I hate that. I go to the university with film students who watch movies on their iPhones and their MacBooks, and it's a tragedy.
Wow.
And also looking into the future, because I know you're being constantly asked about the upcoming election, but looking back on your repertoire again, you've made some movies already, almost heartfelt movies about some controversial Republican figures, W. and Nixon, two very beautiful movies. Could Oliver Stone ever see himself down the line using the resources and the time to making a Trump the movie?
Everyone asks that question. I don't know. He's certainly a character. He's interesting to watch. He's entertaining. But my movies are a little bit not about peccadillos, I hope it's about something. I don't see Trump. I find him to be an entertaining person. But I think the real danger is probably Hillary, because I think she's a real warrior. She likes macho. She likes war. they're building up for something in the U.S. It's so crazy if you have to be in the U.S. to read this stuff. But you got people in Denmark too. You like this guy Rasmussen. It was the NATO people. They're halfway. They're nuts. They love to throw out warnings and extreme threats to Denmark. And all of a sudden, this very placid country, you're going to be completely locked up like a surveillance state.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
It's funny because we have one of the most, happy populations.
I hope it stays that way. But I can't believe the lunatics out there. But they're motivated by the United States mentality.
Yeah.
What is this?
You have a girlfriend.
Am I a target?
Your emails, calls, everything. The house is bugged. My name is Edward Snowden.
One man can stop the motor of the world.
I can't turn back from this.
You're looking up death sentence.
You have no idea what it's like to be accountable for other people's lives.
This is your 20th feature film. Is there anyone in particular that you're more proud of than others? Anyone that sticks out?
Each one is different. Each one was a year, 2 years of my life, very passionate. It might be a smaller subject like crime, but crimes are important too. It tells you a lot about the people. I did 4 crime movies: U-Turn, Natural Born Killers, and Savages. You could say the political films are about crime too, but it's a different kind of crime. But also, I wrote Scarface. I mean, I'm interested in the human condition, and some of the most depraved people interest me.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite depraved person that you made?
No. I mean, the depravity of the world is beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely a person who's, having been in combat and seen the war, I don't want it to happen again. And I suppose it's a mission in life is to do my best to try to make people aware of it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very
much.
Johan.
Yeah, a pleasure, Oliver. Thank you very much.